Welcome to the Basics of Cyclone Part 6. In this installment of the Basics, we're going to cover registering our recently imported RTC360 data. The first thing I usually like to do after I import my data is simply just grab my registration and move it outside of this data folder. You can do that by right-clicking on it, selecting Cut, just hit OK, and then selecting the database and then pasting that database into there. What this enables me to do is it gets it outside of that folder, so now I can minimize the folder. So if I had hundreds of setups, it would be much easier to deal with. Now that I've moved it, I can open up my registration. And since this is RTC data and we had linked everything out in the field, all I simply have to do inside of Cyclone is hit registry and auto update. And it's going to go through and finalize all my cloud-to-cloud links. Once this is done, we'll take a look at those links, and if we want to, we can add some additional links. So keep in mind, when we were out in the field, we only generated one link from one setup to another. So if we wanted to do cross ties or anything like that, we would need to add these additional links. Now that the links have been finalized, usually the first thing I like to do is just to go in and select my scan worlds and just view them and make sure that everything looks okay. So again, maximize this. Typically, I'm just going to go in a top-down orthographic view and just look at the building sides and make sure everything looks good. In this case, it does. So I can close that out. I'm not going to save it. And the other thing that I want to do is come up here to Cloud Constraint and Auto Add Cloud Constraints. So what that's going to do is it's basically going to look at all the scans and see if there's any overlapping or links that can be generated between Scan World 1 and Scan World 3, 4, and 5. And the same thing for 2 compared to 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. It's just going to add the additional links that aren't already in there. All right, so there's the links that were added. We can look at those real quick. But overall, I'm just going to hit close, and now we're going to take a look at our constraint list. We can sort these by error. And again, typically with these, there's 3 columns that I pay attention to the most. The first one's the overlapping points. Usually if I have anything less than probably about 100,000, I'm automatically going to delete those out, no matter what it says the error is, just because I feel like that's not enough points. And that's just a place that I start. Oftentimes I may even go anything underneath 500,000 points, I may just delete out. But in this case, our errors actually look fairly good. Our overlapping points look good, and our error vectors also look good. So one last time, I'm just going to come over here, and we're going to go up to registration and view interim results. And again, we'll just hit the top-down orthographic view, and everything looks pretty good. If I wanted to, I could come over here and take a quick slice through the building just to see if there's any other, areas that are of concern to me, but right now everything in here looks good. I don't see any outlying lines or anything like that that would raise alarms. So I'm just going to close this again, select no, and then from here we're going to go down and say create scan world and freeze registration and close out our registration.